What's the order here?
What a beautiful day, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Gorgeous.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Moyes. I'm the MLA for Riel, and I'm so happy to be here with you all today for this announcement that'll help families across our province. First, on behalf of the Manitoba government, I want to honor the sacredness and importance of this land and the ancestors that once walked where we are standing today. The Anishinaabe, the Cree, the Dene, the Dakota, the Métis, the Inuit, and the Anishinaabe nations have all paved the way to what we now know as Manitoba, home to all treaty people. The reason we share this information with all of you is that it's a reminder of our treaty histories and the original homelands of these nations. Just a few weeks ago, our government introduced Budget 2024. The budget is directly informed by what we've heard from the people of Manitoba, from families right here in Riel to every part of the province. We've heard from Manitobans that over the last 7 years, times have been tough. It's been challenging for Manitobans to make ends meet. That's why we made a commitment to you that we would lower costs for you and your family. Our first budget does exactly that. With new ways to save, we're making the economy more affordable for everyone in our province. To speak more on today's announcement, I'd like to welcome Premier Wab Kinew.
Mike. All right, well, Adrian Sala, Finance Minister, Mike Moyes, Caucus Chair. I want to greet you both today. I also want to say thanks to Wayne and Sally for hosting us on this beautiful, is it too soon to say summer? Are we going that far?
Maybe a little early. Maybe a little early.
Don't jinx it. Good advice. Gotta keep your ear to the ground for good advice like that. Let's just say a beautiful day. How about that? I want to thank you both for welcoming us here to your home, because today we're announcing our government's plan to put $1,500 into the hands of homeowners like Wayne and Sally and homeowners like you. This is part of our Budget 2024 commitment to deliver more help to you and more help to those who need it most. Now, we know that so many Manitobans have been feeling the impacts of first high inflation and then now high interest rates. And our government has been hard at work since our first days in office to find ways to help you out. One of the first steps that we took was to cut the gas tax in Manitoba to zero. That's saving you 14 cents a litre each and every time you gas up. Our provincial government can't do everything, but we can do some things. And our provincial cut to the fuel tax is one way in which we're putting money back in your pockets to give you and your family more freedom each week and every month. It also helps business owners who have to power the fleets of trucks and other great vehicles in order to keep our economy moving. And so the price of diesel on the gas tax on that also went to zero. And we're very thankful to our friends there for helping us illustrate the point. Now, we know that housing and home ownership is another crucial area where the affordability challenges are being felt. You have folks who are longtime homeowners who are looking at the pile of bills each and every month and trying to find $20, $50 to make a difference. Then you got the young families who are feeling discouraged at the prospect of how hard it is to save up for that first down payment, for the mortgage payments. And so our government has come up with, under the leadership of our finance minister, a really good plan to help assist homeowners, existing homeowners, and those who are working hard to buy their first home in the near future. And so this is going to be the $1,500 homeowners affordability tax credits real difference-making proposition. It's going to help ensure that the cost of meeting your property tax payments is more within reach for the average person out there. At the same time, this is going to be an important move towards ensuring that we can balance the books in the near future and ensure that the chronic underfunding of education in Manitoba is ended. I think people across the province all agree that we'll be 100% better off in the future with better funded schools, with balanced books, and with more money in the pockets of the average Manitoban. And so this $1,500 homeowners tax credit does exactly that. Now, when we say more help for you and more help for those who need it most, we can quantify that. More help for you, 83.9% of Manitobans are going to do better off under this plan. More help for those who need it most, 100% of us will do better when school teachers have more resources to help our kids learn to their full potential. And yes, the economy will be that much stronger when we balance the books. So this is an important move that we can make to help you meet your family budget each and every month. This builds on the earlier move that we took to deliver the rebates on the start of your property tax statements rather than mailing out a check to you once a year. And of course, it's another step to put the dream of home ownership within reach of the average person out there. So to share a bit more about our plan, I'd like to introduce the Minister of Finance, Adrian Sala. Thank you so much, Premier.
Thank you, Premier. Thanks, folks. Thanks for having us here in this wonderful home. My name is Adrian Sala, the Minister of Finance and the MLA for St. James. I am so excited to be here today to share more about how we're going to put more money in your pocket. I want to thank Sally and Wayne for welcoming us here to their beautiful home in Riel, my colleague Mike's riding. Our $1,500 homeowners affordability tax credit will benefit folks like Sally and Wayne. Under our plan, they will pay $140 less in education and property taxes, and that's a big amount of savings we know their family can put to work. In fact, as the Premier stated, 83.9% of Manitobans stand to be better off under our plan. It's neighborhoods like these, full of hardworking Manitobans, young families, retirees, and new Canadians that are going to save more money. This tax credit will effectively eliminate education property taxes for homes with assessed values of approximately $285,000 and below. We are saving Manitobans more money. Don't believe me? Well, just look around. All of these homes you see around us here are going to be saving money with our plan. That house across the street at 208 Riel, they're going to pay $282 less in property taxes, while their neighbors at 204 are going to pay $275 less in property taxes. Wayne and Sally's neighbors here to my right will save $214, and their neighbors to my left around $300. Folks might be creating jealousy here.
I'll tell the neighbors.
The 13 houses we can see all around us here in this corner here, our plan will save these folks around $2,600. We can see this is a lot of savings for these families. Now, our political opponents seem to think that folks living in these neighborhoods don't deserve a break. Instead, they wanted to send out checks to billionaires rather than those who really needed it. This change we're talking about here today will make it easier for young Manitobans to buy their first home and easier for homeowners such as Sally and Wayne to afford their mortgage payments. Living in Manitoba will be easier and more affordable under our NDP government. Our renters tax credit will start to restore the cuts made by the previous government and help those who want to save for a home to put aside a bit extra once the rent is paid. We're helping those who need the most help by doubling the prenatal benefit, strengthening rent control, increasing EIA support, and raising the minimum wage. We're expanding $10 a day childcare so more families can see the benefits, and we're making birth control free, saving you $300 a year. Budget 2024 gives Manitobans 21 new ways to save money, and it will save Manitoba families as much as $5,000 a year. With that, I'd like to pass it over to Wayne, who will share a few words. Wayne?
Nice job.
Thank you, Minister. I'm happy to stand here today with Premier Kinew, Minister Sala, and MLA Moyes. I was pleased to see the government commit to continually lowering costs for all Manitobans in their recent budget. As someone who has worked hard throughout their life, I can attest to the challenges people in Manitoba are facing. Folks work hard every day, and we love the communities that we live in. But the current inflation has added pressure to our families, leaving us with less and less of our hard-earned money. Premier Kinew and Minister Sala listened to Manitobans and presented a budget crafted with the middle class, lower middle class, and working individuals in mind. A budget for all. This tax credit will save me money. It will save my son money. It will save money for so many of us. Something we all welcome and need. The previous government's approach of siding with out-of-province billionaires did not benefit us, the people of Manitoba. This government is focused on alleviating the financial pressure of all Manitobans. With this new tax credit, the majority of homeowners will have more money in their pockets. Premier Kinew, Minister Sala, thank you for having listened to us and taking concrete steps that will provide relief for more families. Thank you.
Right on.
Good one.
Ready for questions now? What do we have?
Thank you, Premier Kinew, Minister Sala, Wayne, for your words. This is great news for Manitobans across our province and right here in Riel. For people like Sally and Wayne, it's going to be savings that they can then apply to important things for their family, and it's going to be welcome news for everyone in the neighborhood. I now welcome Premier Kinew and Finance Minister Sala to answer any questions.
The 83% of Manitobans that you say are going to be better off, is that 83% of homeowners, or are you including renters in there? Because I ask because this street, many people on the street will seem to be getting a break. A block over on Bethany Bay, homes are valued 480, 500,000. They're going to be paying a bit more. They're not out of province billionaires. Some people are paying more, some people are paying less. So what percentage of homeowners are going to save?
83.9%.
And how are you getting $148 million more? Most of it from residential properties. If you're only supposedly 17% are going to pay that much.
Wait for our friends to drive by here.
Another gas saving.
Well, they're saving money on the gas tax for sure, both as individuals and as business owners. 83.9% of Manitobans who own homes are going to do better off in the dollars and cents of this plan, and 100% of Manitobans are going to do better when we talk about improved supports for schools, improved ability to balance the budget here in Manitoba. So if you're a fiscal conservative, I think this plan appeals to you because now we finally have a path towards balancing the budget in Manitoba. And if you're a progressive person, this should appeal to you because the most help is being delivered to those who need it most. Both, folks who are in the $100,000 home in rural Manitoba, the $200,000 home, $350,000, $400,000 home, $430,000 home, right here in the city of Winnipeg or in other communities. So I really admire the work that our finance minister has done here because we inherited a suite of challenges coming into office. Massive deficit, underfunded schools, cost of living crisis for the average person. And through the leadership of Minister Sala and the rest of our team, we found a way to move the needle in a positive direction in each one of those areas. Best of all, saves you $1,500 a year on your school taxes.
So to get the $148 million more dollars, though, you're hitting more than just 17% of people, not? That's a lot of money to net. That's the net increase, not the gross.
Well, the finance department has prepared our budget, all the stats and tables you see in there, and 83.9% of Manitobans are going to save more money under this plan. So if you asked me, just on a personal level, I think if we went out there and we asked the average Manitoban, if we could find a way to save you $1,500 to ensure that schools have more funding and that we balance the budget, sounds pretty good to me. And I think most people would agree with that. So when we say more help for you, more help for those who need it most, this really delivers. More help for you, 83.9% of Manitobans, more help for those who need it most. The school kid who wants to learn, the child who shows up hungry and needs a meal so that they can pay attention and not disrupt your child's learning, and the teachers who've been working so hard, not mention all of us who've been feeling the impact of the cost of living. What's the most important cost of living measure that we can take? Yeah, we're going to cut the gas tax. Yeah, we're going to bring in the school tax rebate. But over the long run, the most important thing we can do to help you with the cost of living is to balance the provincial budget. Because what's been happening too often in the past is that the government keeps coming back and asking more and more from you. People are feeling like they're losing freedom as a result. But our government is showing up to help you. Person who's working 2 jobs. And yeah, you may have a high income relative to other people in the province, but you can't get ahead because it seems like the help is always going to someone else. But this plan is different. This plan is more help for you, more help for those who need it most. So you look at the school tax, $1,500 savings here, the money you're saving on the gas tax, the measures that we're taking to restore balance to the provincial books. I think we've got a really strong approach here that not only helps you, but it also helps those in greatest need.
Premier, you said the economic cart, or economic horse, sorry, pulled the social cart.
Yeah.
So there's no school tax rebate for commercial property owners or landlords. So is there going to be anything to help them after this year?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of those questions will get answered when we unveil the new school funding model, which we've not done yet. So we'll do that at a separate press conference, I'm sure, later in the year.
But there will be something to alleviate their concerns about this?
Well, what I've been hearing is Manitobans are excited to save $1,500 on the school taxes of their homes. And that's what we're here to talk about today. When it comes to other measures, then we'll share details on that when we announce the new school funding model.
You had spoke about Manitobans who are trying to get their first house.
Yeah.
CIBC just came out with a poll yesterday. 76% of Canadians feel like buying a house is not in the cards for them. So do you feel like the savings through this tax credit is enough to tip the scales for young Manitobans who are just trying to make that mortgage payment?
We're not going to be able to change everything overnight as a provincial government, but we're going to be there to help you buy your first home. And this is an important step. When you start to run the calculations, you look at the property listing of the house you got your eye on, you run the monthly expenses, $1,500 difference towards the good, that's going to put the dream of home ownership within reach for more Manitobans, young Manitobans in particular. And I think one of the broader economic trends that we're trying to address with this $1,500 savings for you and for those who need it most in the province is that poll you're talking about, it's a national poll. And that idea of home ownership being out of reach for someone in Toronto, someone in Vancouver, it's very real. You know, my wife's a doctor. Her med school friends in Vancouver have told us we're never going to be able to own our own home. Those are high-income individuals living in the Lower Mainland. But here in Manitoba, it's different. The dream of home ownership is still within reach. The average young person, the nurse, the police officer, the firefighter, you know, the tradesperson, you can still buy a home here. And the advice that I've received from people in other parts of Canada is don't let what happened in BC happen here. Don't let what happened in the 905 belt happen here. And so we're going to take a lot of measures to boost the housing supply, taking the sales tax off of new rental construction, different incentives for municipalities, not-for-profits, other organizations to stand up new housing. We're going to build social housing ourselves so we can help with the supply side. But when we're just talking about the basic question of being able to afford a house, $1,500 is going to help a lot of young people go a long way towards achieving that dream. And again, it's not us doing that. It's you. It's your hard work. It's your saving. It's the sacrifices you're willing to make along the way to success. We just feel like we're going to be able to help a little bit along that path.
To your point about the poll being national,
Yeah.
which you're right there. I was out yesterday chatting with folks who were just out and about. Several of them told me
So you heard the same thing kind of thing?
don't feel like they'll ever be able to. They feel like they'll be renting, and these are people, you know, right here in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
So, what would you say to them specifically?
I would say that we have a comprehensive plan. So in terms of meeting your monthly expenses, we're going to be here with this $1,500. But we're also moving forward with an economic plan to ensure that Manitobans earn a decent wage. So if you're trying to save money, getting decent pay is part of the path towards getting there. And then some of the steps that we can take to add housing supply, whether it's rental units, whether it's incentives towards home ownership like this affordability tax credit. When we increase the supply, it helps to ensure that there's affordability across the market. So I take seriously when you're telling me what you're hearing, the young person who's worried about whether they're ever going to be able to afford a home. But what I want to assure folks like that, folks like you, is our government is committed to that agreement that if you work hard and you save and you make the right moves, then our government's going to match that commitment by ensuring that the economy is fair for you and that the ability to buy your own home is going to maintain within your reach here in Manitoba.
For those 17% that are going to end up paying more, I know you'll say that we'll all benefit from a better education system, but these are fairly average they're going to end up paying more. What do you say to those families that are going to have to bear a greater brunt of this tax burden?
The average home price in Manitoba is around $350,000. And if you have a $350,000 home, you are going to pay no school taxes because of this $1,500 homeowner affordability tax credit. And so when you look at, and here I'm going to beg very humbly of your attention while I dive into statistical nerddom. If you look at a statistical distribution of home prices in the province, there's a long tail, meaning property values at the highest end continue to exist, $2 million homes and up and stuff like that. Which means that when we took the choice to implement a flat tax like this, and you can talk to any economist, they'll tell you when you're looking at revenue attached to property or wealth like this, that a flat tax is the most progressive way to go. We can say with confidence 83.9% of Manitobans are going to do better off under our plan, and 100% of Manitobans are going to live in a better province that has more supports for schools and a real path to a balanced budget.
Is that 83% though based on an average mill rate from a year or two ago? Whereas Winnipeg School Division, some of the big school divisions, Seven Oaks, they charge higher mill rates, so people get more to hit there and less savings, they'll actually pay more?
Well, at the risk of following up a statistical explanation with an epistemological explanation, then I would say, what is the basis by which we are to make public policy decisions on other than to look at the average person? When we campaigned, we talked about the middle class because we want to make a difference for the average Manitoban. And I know Manitobans have been feeling strained these past few years, like there's help coming for all these folks except you. Well, times are changing with our government. We're helping you. We're helping you with the gas tax holiday. We're helping you with this homeowners affordability tax credit. And so, yeah, we do use means and medians and different tools to calculate the right amount, but we're rock solid in being able to say that 83.9% of Manitobans are going to come out ahead with that $1,500 in your pocket, and 100% of people are going to make out better when the school kid has more support in the class and when all Manitobans have a balanced budget.
If mill rates increase, which is already happening this year, are you open to increasing the credit value?
You know, I will always be open to finding ways to help the average Manitoban keep their head above water. I think there's a lot of questions that are being asked that, you know, are specific examples that we will answer when we come forward with the new school funding formula later in the year. But our commitment to helping you through this period of high cost of living and highest interest rates, it's always going to be there.
Will you yourself end up paying more or less for this?
I'm going to be way better off because of the pride of having a properly funded school system, being able to balance the books in Manitoba, and not to mention just on a personal level, coming out of 7.5 years serving in opposition where there was no plan to balance, no plan to support schools, to be able to serve alongside a finance minister who's come up with an ability to save you $1,500, add more funding to schools, and balance the books. Yeah, we're going to all come out ahead. under that Manitoba.
The flat tax credit, as you say, is more progressive, given as it's flat applied to escalating home values, but it's also flat over time. And this is a lovely home. The proposed value, proposed assessment is going up $40,000. The city website tells me. So,
Don't make me pick a fight with the mayor. I love the mayor. We have a great relationship.
is this not sort of a gift that keeps on giving for you if you keep it in place over time, because they'll get $1,500 flat credit when mill rates and home assessments continue to rise over time?
Well, your assessment that flat tax is progressive revenue policy is correct. And so when we come forward and we say more help for you and more help for those who need it most, that's what we're talking about. The 83.9% of Manitobans who are going to do better under our plan, and then the 100% of people in the province who are going to come out ahead with better schools, more supports for kids, and a path towards balance. And so we're going to continue to be there to keep the finger on the pulse and ensure that we've got the right supports. But a lot of the great questions that are being asked today are questions that are being asked in isolation. And unfortunately, our team, as a government, we don't get to answer those questions in isolation. So when we ask the question, how do we save people money? It's not just how do we save people money. We have to come up with the answer, how do we save people money within the context of inheriting a massive deficit and chronically underfunded schools? And I think this public policy announcement that we're doing here today is a really nice measure that's going to put $1,500 into your pocket. It's going to help us balance the books in the province, and it's going to provide greater supports for schools. So in one policy move that's going to help you put $1,500 in your pocket, we're also addressing the issues that we inherited around a structural deficit and the chronic underfunding of education in Manitoba. So if we can find more ways to help you, we will. If we can find more ways to support schools, we will. If we can find a path towards balancing the books more quickly, we will. And I just want to invite Manitobans to continue working with us on these challenges, because we have to tackle all of them together at the same time.
You're off to Washington soon. Why are you going? Who are you going with? Who are you meeting?
All right, a lot in there.
I can break it up. But.
Yeah, no, I'll do my best to answer, and then yeah, please do follow up. So we're going to Washington, D.C. next week as Team Manitoba, because trade with the United States of America drives our provincial economy. And we need to have a really great, strong, enthusiastic presence there to ensure that those relationships stay strong. We also know there's an election coming up in the United States of America later this year. There's a potential for renegotiation of CUSMA, that's the NAFTA 2.0 deal, in 2026. And in consulting with experts, with business leaders, folks in different walks of life of our province, the advice kept coming back that building strong relationships now to ensure that whatever Americans choose as their path forward in the future is going to be the best way that we can have good trade, good economic relationships, and that ongoing valuable partnership with our most important ally. In terms of who's going, well, actually just before I came here, I was meeting with former Premier and former Ambassador Gary Dewar, who is our volunteer U.S. trade advisor, and a group of business leaders, folks from labor, Keystone Ag producers, and others who are going to help us make the case. When I say others, I mean the chambers and business councils and those representatives of different thought leaders in the province. So we're going to be leading that delegation. We're going to be meeting with Congress people, both from the House and from the Senate. We'll be meeting with thought leaders, folks who are influential around public policy in the United States of America. And I think the most important goal that I would hope we accomplish on this is that we just start to build the relationships. We build the relationships so that if we need to go to the negotiating table later, the interests of Manitoba are going to be well understood, and we'll be able to stand up for our jobs and our economy.
You're going, Gary Dewar is going,
Minister Moses, the Economic Development, Investment, Trade, Natural Resources Minister. So his portfolio heavily invested in trade, as the name suggests. Minister Lisa Naylor, who's our Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure. So again, those trade corridors, whether it's road, rail, water, etc., very, very important. And then we've got a broader delegation that includes some of those folks that I've mentioned.
The federal government just released their housing strategy ahead of the budget next week.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had a chance to look at that yet and give us your initial
Not really beyond the headline, and just like a quick media glance. I did have a chance to meet with the Prime Minister last week. We did a joint announcement on housing where they had their national strategy. We had our provincial investment, $30 million this year for not-for-profits and municipalities and Indigenous governments to be able to access money to build new housing. And so what I would say is that I think everybody is thinking about housing these days. It's an affordability question. It's a how do we build intergenerational wealth for Manitobans question. And then there's just the broader economy that's at stake. How are we going to ensure that the tradespeople, the developers, the jobs that are created in those sectors continue to grow? And so what we're doing basically is we're taking action across the entire spectrum of housing. We know we want to get folks out of bus shelters, so we're going to invest $70 million in social housing capital this year. We need to move people up from social housing towards rental units in the market space. And so we're going to partner with business and not-for-profit and other levels of government to be able to deliver that. And then, of course, we've got the $1,500 homeowners incentive to help make homeownership affordable. And then taking the retail sales tax off of new rental units, I think, is going to be a significant incentive, and that is stackable with the federal sales tax rebate. So all of a sudden it becomes more incentivized to build new apartments for people to rent. And by the way, we designed that so that there's a greater incentive for those units to be affordable. So across that whole spectrum of folks, we're having really high degrees of government intervention and direct involvement onto more tax credits and incentive-driven approaches. But we're there throughout that whole spectrum, and our hope is that the federal government will be able to bring forward some investments to help along the same lines.
Do you think you and the federal government are aligned on those priorities?
I think we're aligned on the values of wanting to get more housing built. I haven't seen the fine print of specific details and initiatives, so we'll always have to preserve that flexibility to dive into those specifics.
Question for Mr. Moyes.
Yeah.
I know that this filing is not representative of the entire province, but have you done a rough calculation as to how many people in your constituency will pay less education property tax and how many people will pay more?
Well, first I'll just say that Riel is a very diverse constituency, so I actually do think it is representative of the province. We have folks from all different backgrounds and income levels, but I do feel very confident that this initiative is going to help the people of Riel. As a former teacher, I am extremely overjoyed with the budget in terms of more support going into the classroom, more support for those kids that need it the most.
Et juste finalement en français, aujourd'hui nous sommes ici pour annoncer plus d'appui pour vous et puis plus d'appui pour ceux qui ont besoin de le plus montant de soutien. Alors, $1,500 pour vous aider, ça peut-être ne fera pas tout, mais c'est bien plus d'aide qu'on a vu jusqu'à maintenant. Merci beaucoup. All right. Nice job, Mike. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Yeah.
Mr. Zala?
Appreciate your good words. Thank you for
Oh, no problem.
your lawn.
I really appreciate it.
Get this out of your
Well,
way.
you raked up already, it looks
That's
like, so
okay.
that's good.
Yeah,
Well done. Yeah, thanks so much for
Oh,
hosting
no
us here.
problem, and I hope I see
Yeah,
you in
really
the
nice.
summer when things are blooming.
Oh, yeah. No, it looks like you've already been out here working, right?
Susan told me upstairs, please, get up there and look at the grass. There
Got
was
the
footprints hidden from the deer over
deer.
the winter, it was terrible.
It looks like you had the rake out too. Yeah.
So we want to get a
I
photo
don't
all
think I
together?
could say the
Pulling
same
out
thing
dead
yet.
stuff out of the garden.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I think we're all turning our minds to the yard work now, eh? Hey, thanks for being here, eh? Sally. It's awesome.
No
That's great.
problem. And by the way, I almost, yeah, I think we should get a photo all together.
Photo?
Yeah, our son is a prime example of what this is.
For the young
He
one?
is in Minister Shallow's running.
Oh, yeah.
He has a host of choice about